People on Twitter keep saying this show is boring, and I want to destroy them. I don't understand. Are you not entertained?
This is like the least boring.
Did they see how good the costumes are?
Hello everyone and welcome back to Vassals of Kingsgrave for episode 3 of House of the Dragon season 1. We're back. That happened. My name is Adam, also known as DragonCast on the forums, Discord, and everything else. And I am joined by a motley crew of dragons, starting with...
Hi, my name is Casey, Blue-Eyed Queen, on the Discord and forums and wherever else we are.
I am also, again, trespassing, but I've also trespassed previously, the Wolfcast, so there isn't the DragonCast this season, so I'm just everywhere.
I am not quite as exciting with my various animals, but I'm Michal, or inkasrain on the internet.
And this is Katie. I'm giving up my titles. I don't care anymore.
Yes, join me.
Well, you still are Lady Griffin if you're looking for
Yes, I'll be Lady Griffin
on the Vassals site.
I made dead leaves in my hand because I hate Discord. And I'm like, I'm never going to use this, and I didn't think about it, and I hate that I'm stuck with it. But yes, I'm Katie.
No, you can change your name.
Bullshit.
You can have a different name on every server now too. Anyway, moving on.
Yep, this is Matt, and we are nailing this.
And I'm Ben, or King Jucio.
Jucio. All right. That went as great as it always does. And
outline.
All right. So let's start with our burnt soldiers ranking for the episodes. Lemon cakes, whatever you want to do.
How about fingers off?
Or attempts at, or how many stabs at a stag would you give this? How about we start with you, Bing, since this is your first time on with this show.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. So for reference, I previously sort of been giving it about 4 to 4.5 range for the previous 2 episodes. I give it this like a 4. It's pretty fun. I feel like the crab feeder guy did absolutely nothing except staring and then becoming half of a crab feeder guy. So not sure I was that excited for that battle. But the rest of the stuff is fun stuff, I think.
All right, cool. What about you, Casey?
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think that, most of this was pretty good, very exciting, very entertaining to watch, especially with the last battle scene. I'm just going to give it points off for slight confusion as to what Daemon was actually doing at first. And also just like the narrative of a woman can never be queen, blah, 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 blah. Like, it just seems so like, it seems unnuanced. And I don't love that, but, it's fine.
All right. And what say you, Katie?
I'll give it a 4.7. Mostly my quibbles are about the crab feeder stuff at the very end. I thought the rest of it, the hunt, was exquisite. It reminds me of how small everything felt in those last seasons of Game of Thrones, where there were like 10 people left in Westeros. And now it's like, yeah, this actually feels like the realm is filled out. It's like a living, breathing kingdom. I don't know if it was like the sound stage that Matt Smith was on in that first scene, or like the direction he was given, but like, I don't know, man. Like, he's at a real board when he was shouting for crab feeder coming. He's like, come out. Not a great start, but yeah. And in the end, I feel like Game of Thrones and the show have kind of shown that like it's really hard to summarize large scale campaigns in a way that like on a television budget in a way that is logistically sound. And so it was nonsense at the end, but it was fun nonsense. Like nobody can hit Damon with an arrow for about 5 minutes while he's running. It was silly, but it was fun, and we got to see sea smoke, so that's good. It was an enjoying hour of TV.
See smoke. All right, how about you, Michal?
Yeah, I'll ding this one a little. It was probably like a 3.5 for me. Definitely agree. Like it is so sumptuous to look at, and just like the I don't know if it's historical accuracy, but it's accuracy to the perception of medieval life, where like the king would go on a hunt and it would be the entire court, and like there would basically be like a mini castle set up in the tents, and like I mean I love seeing all that stuff. I love all the little like court glances of like who Allison's looking at, you know, and how she puts people down when they're like talking out of turn, and like Rhaenyra just like having checked out of the whole thing. I thought that was all really great. Viserys was, I thought, yeah, really poignantly done. It was, I liked watching him kind of be like, why does everybody want to talk to me about politics? I'm just the king, leave me alone. Like, yeah, that was great. But I thought it got a little on the nose toward the end / middle of that. Some of what he said to Allison a couple times was like, all right, we get it. This is saying the emotional part, like right out loud. And I didn't really like the way the crab feeder stuff went. Like I was watching it, I was like having like a flash forward to like next year, or when people are talking about this show in like retrospect, and they're going to be like, oh my god, I forgot about that crab feeder thing. Like that was like, they made us think that was such a big deal. And like, obviously we knew it wasn't a big deal, but I thought it would be at least a big deal for more than one episode.
Like 2 scenes.
Yeah. And it just felt like very chaotic. And I felt like it was a good opportunity to play up, you know, not play up the villain so much as play up the relationships between, you know, Daemon and Corlys, and Corlys's brother, and Laenor, and all that stuff, and that kind of like really didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
So I found that kind of disappointing.
Do you
But
think they got a
Agreed.
note that was like, we need a big battle for
yes,
like early? It seems more like a studio thing, and not a studio, but like a production thing than a writer
either
thing.
that, or they were like, and hey, HBO, don't worry, we're gonna have this really talky episode in 2, but episode 3, we're gonna have this big battle, and like, but I don't know, they saved it for like the very, very, very tip of the episode. Like I was, the pacing was odd. I don't know. This episode felt a little janky to me, but you know, I'm still super into the show.
Yeah, I mean, the battle, I will say, we can get to it. I mean, I think they did a good job on the battle, but the pacing is definitely, it felt like it was like a quote of like, we have to show that there are more dragons, you know, like he was a surprise, right? I think to the general audience, you're like, wait, it's a different dragon rider. So
yeah, that was
anyway.
a weird choice. Not to go on about it, but it was a weird choice to suddenly be like, and Laenor's a dragon rider, by the way.
Yeah, like why was he? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit. Ben, what do you think?
For me, it's probably a 4, verging on 4.5. I think Viserys put in a better performance than episode 1, which is saying something because I really loved his performance in episode 1. I think everything, all the stuff in King's Landing, or Kingswood technically, was, I think, top notch. I would say the part where the episode felt maybe a little janky, maybe a little weird, was all that stuff on Bloodstone. It just, I don't know. It didn't feel continuous with the episode, and I'd probably chalk that up to the pacing. So that's some of the stuff y'all have talked about. I don't know what they could have done better to like spice it in, but yeah, it just didn't work for me. Otherwise, the end battle was nice. I didn't have much of a problem with it, other than the crab feeder dude being just kind of a nothing burger of a character. I mean, they could have expanded on him a little bit more. He's just very like villainous and silent and never speaking. Or
Yeah, and sending minions like one at a time.
yeah, felt very. I don't know, 70s like evil villain dude. But yeah,
He could have done something, like moved in a direction instead of just staring one direction or
And
another.
then disappearing
into
into
a
the cave. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the bigger issue is we just never heard him even speak. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
but what does that
that's what
tell
I
us
was
about the
waiting for, was some
character?
sort of speech or confrontation, gloating or grievance or something.
What are you talking about? He sprinkled crabs on that guy.
Even more interesting would have been something like maybe if he did sign language, because his, maybe his throat at this point is fucked up. He can't even actually, get out words with the grayscale. Been considerably more interesting for him as a character, instead of just pure silence.
Yeah, that I think that would have been a good time to put in maybe an alternate communication or something.
You know what else would have been nice? If we had actually seen the fight with him and Daemon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep, the budget didn't provide for that.
Yeah. It's like, this is the part I actually want to see. Like,
But
tell me
Michal,
something
if you want to
about
see
Daemon.
sea smoke, we gotta cut something.
I mean, I do want to see sea smoke, but I don't need to see a million people burned up again.
I enjoyed that we saw Laner go "Woo!" on sea smoke. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you'll get dragons and you'll like it. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I would give it a 4 point something or whatever. I'm not gonna bother with decimals. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as harsh on the battle. It certainly wasn't the best of that Game of Thrones had to offer. But like, my expectations, it was gonna be, a one and done type thing. I was surprised that it wasn't more cut back and forth between kind of some of their planning stuff in the middle of the episode and kind of saving everything for the end. I probably would have cut back and forth a little more. And yeah, I would say probably it would have been better to show the fight between Crabfeeder and Daemon. But yeah, fun stuff from Sea Smoke in the introduction there. So yeah, that's cool. Once again, Millie Alcott continues to just kill it for me. She's my favorite thing so far. She deserves to get nominated for this. It's a hell of a performance. It was her and Kristen in the Kingswood, and killing the boar was, and with then the stag too. Just everything, top notch. My favorite part. And then juxtapositioning that with Viserys and his Bobby B energy, I thought was a lot of fun. I do agree with Michal with the dialogue kind of veers. Sometimes it feels a little too right there, and sometimes it's like, yeah, that was a good line. It just kind of swerves back and forth a little bit, where it's all not always pinpoint precise, but overall really solid. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think because I didn't hate this episode, but I'm gonna give it like a sub 4 somewhere, like I don't know, like a 3.5 or something, because I felt like, and maybe this is my personal preference, like the pacing was off, but I don't like what they're doing is like, I guess because we're spending so much time here with like the younger versions of people, like, I mean, we needed to see Rhaenyra, I don't know, gaining support, and hopefully we'll get to that point, but there's not very many episodes of that, if we're going to be transitioning quite far ahead. So, I mean, I thought the battle was pretty good. It's like, I had kind of low expectations there. Damon's little faint thing. I don't know, weird. But I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like the White Heart was a missed opportunity. So like she could have killed the White Heart and brought it in, and then like that could have like people. Oh, she's still the heir. You know, like then you kind of start getting support on her side. Because right now it seems like everyone is like, name the boy. You know. But it was nice to have that scene with Viserys being like, "Hey, I just want you to be happy, and I'm not abandoning you." And,
I think
I
her
don't know.
sparing the White Heart was a little undermined by her absolutely going apeshit on that boar.
Right,
It's
like she just
look-
shows up and looks fucking crazy now, and maybe some people see her as looking a little bit more savage or a little bit more as someone capable of sitting the throne because she went hunting. I just feel like they played up this White Heart thing and then it kind of went nowhere, and instead it's like, well, we saw a White Heart, so that means it's a good sign for Aegon. Right, but if she brought it back and said, "I bring this to honor my brother," but everyone's like, "Well, no, she's the one that found it." Like, you know, it would add fuel maybe to both sides of the argument, I guess. But yeah, I think the pacing issues are a bit of like, what did we jump forward now? 2 years, is it?
yes.
3.
Yeah, Allison's pregnant again, and yeah, so about 3 years, right? Because Aegon this is his second name day, so this would be, you know, at least 2 or 3 years down the line, right? So I don't know, but then the actress looks too young still. And I did appreciate when she called her dad out and was like, "Look, if you marrying, you know, was about advantage, like you would have married the Valerian girl."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, fair enough." But he didn't say, "Oh, it was too weird for me." And she could have been like, "It was too weird for you. What about my best friend?" It feels like they haven't had that conversation, and they like have had it there. So
Viserys they did a good job of making him just seem a little bit older, a little bit more tired, a little bit drunker. Like you can definitely feel like you can understand him, how he ends up at the end of his life starting here. Like
where they talk about how he just liked to laze around and was kind of, because he didn't feel as much like that before.
No.
And then not being able to kill the you know, deer with one stroke. And like I think Michal was saying, it's like this is what you imagine. Like when the king went hunting, it was like, you know, this big ordeal. You know, it's a big, you know, all these lords are there. It's like more and more, it just makes it feel like, yep, Robert was broke.
Oh, when he was wandering around the woods by himself with Lancel.
You were like, oh my gosh, how did a boar get this guy? Where are his like 5 dudes to like tackle the boar? I mean, that's not Robert's style either, but you know, and Robert obviously went hunting more often, and there's things you can say about that, but it's just like the hunting party, even though it's just out in the woods, like they're bringing steps for the king to get back on his horse, and they have thrones and tents, and you know,
And mastiffs with like accurate spiked collars to keep animals off of them. I mean, it looked like the production of the hunt. It looked terrific. It looked so many people. Money. Yeah, like just an interest, like a real vibe of an actual court. And I kind of realized how much I'd missed that.
I agree. The court drama and the ladies over here but like they were over here in a corner, but it was like bigger than my fucking house. You know,
Joanna Swan got a shout out, which is really cool.
Joanna Swan. Who is she? I don't remember.
She gets kidnapped, like her ship gets intercepted. I forget where she was going, but like her ship gets intercepted, she gets sold into slavery in Lys, and then she eventually rises up to become like basically like the courtesan of the head of Tyrosh, I think. Like she's known as the Black Swan. Like she makes the best of a bad situation, but that's what they were talking about, is that like she got captured and is gonna be like sold into slavery.
See, I do like the deep pulls in here. Yeah, I do like, even when if they don't come back to this stuff, that we get a bit of that. But it definitely feels like the breastplate stretcher speech in like season 1 of Game of Thrones. You were like, was he in an outhouse? Like, thinking back to that, like that was an awful small tent for the king, you know. Mm-hmm. But just you know, yeah, I guess either they've been doing this so long they can do it better, or they're putting more money in, or I don't know, they've listened to kind of the audience being like, that wasn't impressive.
Well, to be generally compared to Game of Thrones in season 1, especially, they did not have that money to be like.
Oh, 100%. Like after the pilot, like horses were like, well, we gotta be careful, they were very sparing with stuff.
I mean, I felt like this is kind of just showing like Targaryen prosperity and like how, basically like what in Game of Thrones Dany was told all her life, like was how great and grand all of the like people that preceded her were. But it's probably more like budget in like true terms, but like I felt like it was more just like, ooh, look how grand everything is. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of resources. I mean, the Valerians are, compared to the, kind of like the Lannisters of the Game of Thrones time, and they're off waging a war for several years without much support and doing okay up until this point. And the crown can ignore that.
I think it's like 100% a budget thing, but it also works really well, like you guys were saying, just because it illustrates how much they have to lose. Like these people are at the height of their power theoretically, and yet, when you you dive down to like the actual props that are holding up Viserys' reign and the succession, like it's quite fragile, and I think that I love it when retcons can kind of like, it's not a retcon, but I love it when a fact of the production, which is that they couldn't afford to do any of this stuff in early Game of Thrones, like can be illustrative of later stuff.
Yeah, it fits well.
I mean, they had a pug on the set.
They
Real
did.
pug.
And he ate cake.
It was a very lordly pug.
And he enjoyed it.
Who was that? I didn't catch who that was that had the pug. But who was it?
Red wine.
Red wine. Okay.
I was gonna ask, what do y'all think of the Lannister twins?
So the actor who plays both twins is actually an actor who have appeared in Game of Thrones before.
Yeah, so
right.
He was the knight that got splintered by Greer Clegane in the first 20.
Huh.
It seems to match their book descriptions that Jason is kind of a fuckboy and Tyland is the stressed out, competent one that's actually paying attention to what's going on in the kingdom.
Yeah. It's good to see Lannisters again. What do you think about? We can kind of go through this by scene or just kind of by impact. But like, what do you think of his proposal? Like, obviously, it's not what happens. But if she marries him, like, what does that do?
He's gonna build her a dragon pit.
He's like, I got resources, baby.
Park your car in my garage.
Yeah, Castle Rock is
Seriously.
three times as big the size of the wall. What?
Is that true? That can't be true.
No. Well, if you go, not on the show, it wasn't. But if you go by like some of the illustrations and the descriptions we've gotten from like the World Book and stuff, Castle Rock. I mean, I guess from the top of the rock to the ocean is pretty big.
is it? I don't remember if it's.
It's not bigger than the High
700
Tower, though.
It isn't?
No, like I thought the High Tower was. Well, I mean, I could be wrong. Someone call me out. I'm wrong all the time. But I thought the High Tower was bigger. Like, maybe that's just my headcanon.
See, now I have to look it up.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. We'll come back to that. But I mean, he seemed genuine, and she was graciously off-put, I guess is the best way to put that. But if he had come to her saying like, I will be, and I'd be honored to be your king consort. Like, he came at her saying, hey, sorry you're losing the throne, but like, I can make a good life for you. But if he had come at her the other way, do you think she would have been open to it? I mean, he's like twice her age, 3 times her age or something, right?
I think the reputation of Jason Lannister is well known throughout the realm, so I don't think she is into it anyways.
Yeah. And then
Holy moly. The rock is being measured at 3 times the height of the wall or the high tower of Old Town. It's almost 2 leagues from west to east and contains tunnels, dungeons, storerooms, barracks, halls, stables, stairways, courtyard, balconies, and gardens. That is massive.
What is
I'll
your
have
source?
to put the I'll have to put the picture of the rock on in the YouTube video, but it's huge. I didn't realize it was that tall.
The source is the World of Ice and Fire.
It says that in the world book.
Yeah, in the Westerlands chapter. This is from the wiki.
That's a good source.
But the source is from the Westerlands chapter of the World of Ice and Fire.
Shocking lack of knowledge. Like, so the show just like pulled this directly from the world book. A little tidbit. But in show world, the Casterly Rock we saw on the show didn't seem that big to me.
You were just looking at
it capture that in like 5 seconds.
Now wait a minute. We saw Casterly Rock in the show. When was this?
We saw like the
You don't
root.
remember that?
Season 8.
It was a quickie.
Yeah.
Like Grey Worm was there, and then
angle,
it was bad that they were there. I don't even remember. It was unpleasant.
Hold on, I'll put it in the chat.
Is that where they captured the castle and then they looked out in the ocean? They're like, oh shit, there's like 1,000 ships out there.
Right, and they were like, "Oh no!" All their ships were getting destroyed. This is where they just took like a cliff somewhere in England and like very badly CG'd. Like, there's the Casterly Rock, and you're like, "That's a castle on top of a hill. That's not
the castle
a
on
rock."
top of the Ireland. Like, what are there? Something of more or whatever.
There's a better. Oh, this is a better. It gives you.
UK is gonna hate that. I don't know what that is.
I do love it. Well, the UK has so many castles. Who can keep up with them? There we go. There's a better comparison of like book versus show.
I guess the wall is smaller than I thought it was then. I thought the wall was like the tallest thing in the realm.
Well, the way that like George describes it, it comes off as really big, and it is. But also, he was just like, I fucked up, right? That's like, he famously was like, oh yeah, I put in so many meters or whatever, and that's way taller than I intended
I didn't
it to be.
realize how high 700 feet in the air was.
Right. Right. He's like, no one could have possibly built that, but fuck it, I'm going with it. I've done it.
God, this is the reason why like people get so hung up on narrow hips. He probably just the size.
Right. So yeah, the Jane Westerling thing came up in the chat, and I want it to be true. I want Rob to have an heir in the books and all that. But he clearly at one point was like, oh, sometimes I fuck stuff up. But that doesn't mean he couldn't write it into the book, you know. But it's hard to keep up with a lot of that, and
yeah,
I don't blame him. I mean, there are discrepancies. There's already discrepancies in the show, right? So it happens as long as they're giving us good product. What do you guys think about Lord like Enkai winning 1,000 gold coins or 10,000 gold coins? Yeah, that's like the realms. That's like all of the realms' money. What's the price of a horse? 5,000 gold coin. Wait, what? I can't figure any of this out.
I think the price of a horse is 1 sword at your throat, and then you get the horse.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
Back to Rhaenyra for a second.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this episode did an interesting thing where like she in like episode 2, she was very keen on kind of finding her place as heir, and she seems very checked out to me in this. Like she's sitting in the Godswood, you know, making her whatever personal minstrel like play to her over and over again about, you know, a queen who apparently had it way easier, which, you know, she didn't, but whatever.
Nymeria.
It was Nymeria.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
and
I know exactly.
We get some like we get some like the princess orders you. Oh, the queen orders you. A little bit of a power struggle there.
I like that. That was clever.
No, I love that, but I think it ties into like the White Hart thing because I'm not sure. Rhaenyra wants to be queen, but I don't think she knows how to go about it because Viserys has like very explicitly like refrained from teaching her anything about how to go about exercising power. So I feel like while she'll kill the boar, which is coming to take something from her, right? But like but I think this is kind of, metaphorically demonstrating like she's not actively
She didn't kill the heart, yeah,
yeah, she's not going for the kill literally
which
of
is a
something that,
problem.
well, whether it's a problem or a good thing.
Well, I mean, I think it sows it sows seeds, publicly or with the lords or whatever. Like I said, if she came back, carting the white heart, I mean, that goes a long way.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I think
Nah,
that
the
You're like
effect
her
is enough.
dad, though, and I don't think the show is. I think the show is like appropriately judgmental of Viserys, and I don't think like we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to feel distaste about like the killing of the deer, and so it's supposed to be
Yeah.
fortuitous that Rhaenyra doesn't want to hurt the White Hart. And I mean, she could have sicked Kristen Cole on it, and she didn't.
which also
Right.
wouldn't have been like
Right.
a
That wouldn't
fair
have been a good
hunt.
choice, but
you
no
know.
one would have known.
Just
But
hungry watching the thing die.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
I mean,
I really felt like how
anything.
I really felt like how Katie did in that scene. It felt like more of like for like the viewer's purpose, showing like that how much better she is, I guess, in that situation. Like she wouldn't hurt such like a beautiful creature. I know with that scene of them killing the stag was for me rough.
Yeah, I looked away.
Yeah, could not look at that one. But
It's not
I
like
think that's more for
unicorn
the
blood.
viewer.
I mean, it's
That's
not like
not
Voldemort
it's
drinking the unicorn, is it? I mean, like,
no,
I
but
don't
like
know.
it's like it's just like it's more for the viewer than it is for like the something that would be for the realm. Like that would be more interesting to me, but that's not the direction they're going. They're going for
The series week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they're also going for a Viserys week. And look at how strong Daemon and Rhaenyra are, because
Yeah.
both of them are at the end of the episode covered in blood.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was a very interesting way to like sum up, like close out the episode.
And they've done their own
It's a very
killing.
symbolic. Yeah.
So we should talk about that more when we get to the scenes with Daemon. But I did think it particularly interesting when the messenger arrives and he reads what is good news and proceeds to like beat the shit out of him. For I mean, I think obvious reasons, but it's just very very weird.
I would say it wasn't obvious reasons for me.
I think okay, so not in the moment. I'm like, what the fuck? Because you don't know what the letter says.
Because he wants to do it himself.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think like, oh, well, maybe the letter said, hey, just come back home, and he's like, fuck you, and he goes and does this fake. We'll just talk about the scene now. He goes and does this, fake surrender thing, and because he's like, no, I have to be the one that did this. Like he's a bit petulant in that way, and I mean, I get being angry that you're like, crap, he's forcing my hand. But why would you beat the shit out of this dude when he brought you good news?
I'll tell you why. Damon is massively ADHD. And like I don't even really mean that as a joke. I mean like watching him like stalk down there, it was very much to me like this is the type of guy who would be like, I need to climb Everest every single year. I need to like extreme sports, through the years probably would have been like a one of those people in the Great Game of Nations, like the British sent into India and like whatever, explored all the places. Like this is a guy who like he needs stimulation, and he backs that need for stimulation up with the horrible masculine, like this is how you prove yourself and this is how you make yourself worthy in the world.
He welcomes the rain of arrows from the cliff because he's like, well, if I dodge this way and they're not that accurate, and,
I know how
it's
to
keeping me on my toes.
I know how to zigzag on like freaking
That's right. I never got to the north to teach those Starks.
So
He didn't zigzag. He just ran fast.
No. Well, I mean, so obviously, these people are shooting from a very far distance, and it's not likely that any one of them is going to hit him, right? So that's why you should have, dozens of people shooting, because maybe someone hits a target, but trying to hit one target is just hard.
Sure.
Plus he's got coverage, like. Yeah.
Well, I kind of agree with Casey because I was trying to follow the logic of the scene, and maybe it's just because I didn't hear the dialogue the first time around. So Daemon didn't ask for help. That was Vaemond who
Yes.
sent
Yeah.
the letter, and so Viserys sent the help, and Daemon was angry because he thinks it makes him look, in his brother's eyes, it makes him look
Yeah.
weak.
He's like, I don't need this shit, even though they're talking about everything falling apart.
Yeah, I think it's more that he feels like he has to take it himself.
Yeah. He gets to a point here where his thing is, all right, you guys go lay an ambush. I'm leaving my safety, my dragon behind. I mean, how many times did they check the sky for the dragons before they felt kind of safe, right? And he puts himself at great risk. I don't think because he thinks like, oh yeah, for sure I can do this. I think it's because he thinks either I do this or I die. Like I have to do this. Like I think that the letter puts him to a point where he's like, well, like I have to be the one that ends this, or else I don't want to live. Like,
Yeah,
I think
I
it
get
also
that.
just and I think it also just exemplifies how he's kind of crazy.
right, right.
Like he's willing to take the
Crazy like a fox.
He's willing to be the guy that just like goes in there and probably, most people in that situation would probably get killed, but because he's a main character, he's fine. But like he's willing to do that kind of shit for just to be able to show up his brother.
Does he have dragon dreams? Does he know he's a main character?
I was really scared that they were going to have him kill the entire army. I was like, no, he's not Geralt of Rivia. He can't kill the entire army.
Doesn't have magic.
Geralt of Rivia didn't kill the entire army.
Geralt, mate. Well, I don't know if you played the same video game I did. I killed a lot of dudes in Witcher.
You didn't kill all dudes, but you always fought alongside some other people. You're killing lots of dudes.
He took out all the Michelet brothers by himself, so.
Yeah, I mean, I thought what they were going for was it as the battle went further, I kind of realized, oh, they're gonna someone's gonna join him. But at first, I thought he's like, okay, I'm just gonna go cut the head off this snake, and that they'll surrender or something. Once he draws the knife, I'm like, oh, he's just going for assassin, because he doesn't even get close, right?
Yeah, I mean, I that's kind of my. I guess I didn't really like this, how they didn't really talk about, that they were actually going to do this this way. It felt like more like one second Daemon was fighting the messenger, and then next thing you know, he's sailing off, and I thought he was going back to Dragonstone.
Right, I thought he was going to
like...
meet with the king to be like, all right, I have a words to say about this. I'm like, oh wait, where? I thought two things right away. Which, I mean, we know this, I don't know, but I thought either he's going to surrender, because he's got the flag. Maybe he wants to be like, you know what? How about we join forces? I'm like, how does that make sense? Or he's gonna try to cut the head off the snake. It's not until he kind of gets the arrows in him and he's starting to get surrounded, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they're gonna they've planned this, but they don't want us to know they planned it, which is kind of silly.
Yeah, it's the thing of just like I said earlier, of trying to summarize a 3 years long campaign and also have a logistically sound battle on a television budget is I imagine extremely difficult. So I try not. Yeah, so
it's something Vikings did really well throughout the show most of the time, but also the budget and the constraints clearly showed. And when you have jumps forward in time, this is just going to happen. Things are going to feel rushed. Until we get to the dance where everyone's the right age and things slow down, we're going to have to deal with this. And I guess I'm just kind of expecting it, so I'm I'll be more forgiving about it.
Yeah.
But who is the lord that came to Viserys suggesting Valerian, marry Rhaenyra?
That was strong.
One of the strongs.
I have to say, is proving to be a very canny political player.
MVP, yeah.
Oh yeah,
What'd you
I
say,
forgot
Adam?
to mention. Yeah.
Was it Larry
Grayson.
Strong who had the club foot?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Lionel, his father. Yeah, I'm loving kind of his addition and more build up here than I was expecting in this show. And he's had 2 killer scenes now, back to back weeks. It's really enjoyable.
Because that was also just very clever, not just about the pitch about Laenor, but the way he snuck in the idea of we better hope that Laenor doesn't die on the stepstones, otherwise,
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was really subtle.
It was
And
shrewd. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, not subtle necessarily, but it was for Viserys, it was pretty subtle.
Yeah, and I do
Respect that,
I do think that for Viserys they've given us kind of more to work with on him just kind of being over all this shit. And we didn't get to see the train set this week either. So
I actually really like how they're like showing us, because I was nervous in the beginning. I was like, he's coming off like a Ned character. Like, I really like him. Like, I don't know where this is going, but now I can see like how they're like subtly like just showing how he's declining as like a king, and it's very exciting to see.
we have to have that. We have to have a reason why enough people don't want to respect his decision as heir, and we have to have enough reason for people that do want to respect it, right? So
he's definitely just giving mixed signals, right? Like,
yeah,
and he's not talking with his daughter.
right. I think that was the message of this episode. Like, the last 3 years, they've kind of. He's like, you're alone. Like, well, you've been around too, dude.
It's very apparent that he does is pretty much calm and collected with everybody else, but when it comes to his daughter, he just screams and shouts, because I think that he's dying to talk to her, and she's probably been avoiding him because he basically ruined her life. But they definitely have not talked about this, and it's a long time not to talk about it. 3 years.
I mean, yeah, I think that the way they're positioning this as like sort of the cardinal sin of the series is Viserys marrying Alicent, and that like being this wrecking ball through their, her relationship with Rhaenyra, obviously, but Viserys and Rhaenyra's relationship is really powerful, and like something that, I really do like the idea that, like the personal is deeply political, and all of this maybe could have been avoided, if these personal betrayals had been mitigated somehow.
They're a believable daughter and father pair, just because like they completely misread each other's intentions and what they're feeling. Like because they're not talking, but like she perceives everything that he's doing is like an attempt to get rid of her, and that's not what he's doing at all. And he sees everything that she's doing as like a way to defy him, and that's not really what she's doing either. But yeah, I totally buy that this girl has been in sulky teenage mode for like 3 years and is just like avoiding everyone.
Yeah.
I get that.
How old would she be here?
17.
17 here? Oh.
Yeah, they said she was 17.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that all adds up. And it's nice they had that conversation here. But I feel like, kind of going back to that first scene in the Godswood, like, how much interaction do you think she's had with Alicent since all this? Like, are we going to get more conversations about kind of what happened immediately after? Or do you think she just sort of was like, oh, fuck this, and has just shut down ever since?
I mean, it seems like she's shut down, and Alicent has really taken on a "let's be a happy family, I'm your stepmom now" role. So
because that always works so great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
Oh, she'll love it.
Has anyone ever seen the movie Four Christmases? It's like
I know it.
A long time ago, but yes.
It's my wife and I thought we were dating to watch it every year, and I like have the movie like memorized. But beside the point, there's a scene where like Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon go to his mom's place because they have to go to all the different parents for the Christmases, and he's there with the stepdad, and the stepdad is like, this younger guy, kind of closer to his age, and you're like, oh yeah, this, he's like, hey man, I just want to, can I get your gas money, man? I just want to be friends. He's like, we were friends. We were best friends. We grew up together. And then you married my mom. Like that's what this feels like to me. He was like, oh no, we were real good, bro. We're not good anymore. Like I don't know how you think we're gonna be okay, but not cool.
I wonder if like Rhaenyra, they didn't say this, so I'm completely making it up, but like if she spent a lot more time on Dragonstone once Daemon fucked off to the Stepstones, like I
No,
because
she's been to Dragonstone because she said, what did she say? I'm the Princess of Dragonstone. But she also said she hasn't talked to Daemon, and you'd think he's been back there, right?
no, I think he's been away solid for 3 years.
You think?
Yeah.
Even with
The-
the dragon?
Yeah, that's how I interpreted
Hmm.
their conversation. Well, she said that she hadn't spoke to him in 3 years with the women. Obviously
Right.
that, I guess that could be a lie, but I interpreted that as she definitely hasn't seen him in 3 years.
Yeah, and I also think the conversation in the carriage was, first of all, like, wonderfully cage like, and you got this sense of like these people all being locked in together. And those poor nurses, like, for the
Yeah.
baby, just being like, oh god. But I the way Alyssa described her pregnancy and birth with Aegon felt to me like like Rhaenyra hadn't been there. She was like, oh, he was born easily enough or whatever. It it's not so bad. Like it felt like she was
Like she went
somehow,
on vacation or something, or
yeah,
she
she was
just
extremely
checked out.
distanced from
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, I can see
It's a
that.
big castle,
It is
Yeah.
a big castle.
She could
She doesn't-
never.
yeah.
She could just be, 200 feet away and never go over there.
She just goes on her dragon all the time. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
One
something.
thing, sorry, at the camp, I realized we've seen all 3 Strongs as of this episode.
So was that Breakbones, the other guy
Yeah.
with
I
them?
think so. Yeah.
The guy
I
that
thought
gave
he would be
Rhaenyra
bigger.
a smile.
The guy that what? Say that again.
The one that gave Rhaenyra the very, big smile when she came back with the boar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think right. I mean, I think that's what that was.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
It has
Yeah.
their weird vertical rainbow sigil. I do like that Laris is like very soft spoken, and he's just, I'm just gonna creep in here with all the ladies that are gossiping.
Give me that tea.
Oh,
Give me that
yes.
tea.
Don't mind
That's
me.
right. Yeah. I'm not made for the hunt.
I've
Yeah.
got to say, it is interesting to me that they're kind of making it easier to believe that the clubfoot Laris comes from Lionel Strong, because
Yes.
he's gives sage advice and is pretty. I mean, in a place that Otto kind of fails at being able to sway the king, sways him pretty well, and convinces him of the need to mend things with Corlys and Daemon.
Yeah, and
He's
I mean, it's a strong
surprised.
case too. I mean, like,
Yeah,
Viserys
sorry,
should have done that. No, I'm just saying. I'm just agreeing. Viserys should have already. He should have been on top of it. I mean, the fact that he let this go on for 3 years. Just saying, well, that's not part of my realm. Like, when it's like the biggest house in your realm and your most problematic relative. I mean, I don't know.
He's been a surprising
Otto.
character. He just he doesn't have a main character face, so it's unexpected that he has these 2 great scenes.
Who, Viserys?
No,
Or you
no,
mean- yeah.
Lionel.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna do with his death, if they're gonna make something of it, and
I bet they are.
I mean, yeah. I feel like they.
I'm interested to
They
see
have
his
to.
kinship when that happens too.
that's true.
I think okay. So the biggest concern I had this episode, you guys tell me, Aegon. Like, they're really pushing the egg pronunciation, and some people still say it enough that it's almost like Aegon, and it's confusing me.
Yeah, but
Like-
I mean, it's Aegon in the same way that like Emma is Emma and not Ama. Like, it even though we might pronounce it in our head differently, it does have some lyrical sense to
Well,
it.
they said Aegon the Conqueror in Game of Thrones, and here like some of them say Aegon the Conqueror, and some of them say Aegon, where like it's the G's are not quite as, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird, like, I can't tell what they're going for half the time.
But like, I still say Rainey's in my head. Like, I'm never gonna change to Rainey's. Like, so whatever.
Yeah, I say Rainey's. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and these are hard. I saw before the show aired, there was a, I think, Australian YouTuber that had a breakdown of all the dragons and the names, and he was like, "Be kind. These are hard to pronounce. I'm probably getting a lot of them wrong. Like, there are a lot of hard names."
It's my boy Glidus.
Gladys. Oh, I know who that is. That's a YouTuber. I was just watching something.
That's my
he
boy
did.
Glidus.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I remember
gotta
the
say-
first.
names, Ben.
The pronunciations were not top of my concern list. But
No.
I feel you. Although I do just like to refer back to last week because nobody spoke High Valyrian this week. Like it was so interesting when they were talking to the Dragon Keeper and they were referring to Daemon as Daimon, and like that's obviously how you pronounce it in High Valyrian. And I'm like, this to me suggests something of a breakdown in like the Targaryens all speak the common tongue, because like if you come from another language where like your name is of that language, like there is a certain like degrading of it, but if you're fluent in that other language, you're probably going to pronounce it more like that. But obviously we have precedent for obviously these things being like Daemon and Aegon, not Igon or whatever. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Where's
saying-
David when you need him?
Right.
Are you saying that the proper pronunciation is anus instead of anes?
I think it should probably be like
I don't
Inus
care if
or
it
something
is.
like that.
Aenus or something.
Can't do anus. Can't do it.
No, I will never forget the first time I heard someone say it like that. I was like, no.
So I think
So go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was just jumping because my name I'm of Chinese descent, and nobody can pronounce my last name correctly. So eventually, I just sort of let it be. I think that's the case for a lot of Targaryens, in which these these people over in Westeros, they can't pronounce our language, our names correctly. So eventually, over time, they just got used to it. Aegon, sure, whatever. Aegon.
See that.
I work with some doctors. I've known other people that I work with a doctor. Everyone just calls him Dr. Fred, and his name is definitely not that. It's like I had him teach me how to pronounce it a few times, and he's like, just call me Dr. Fred. Everyone does, and you're like, okay. It's just different culture. Like, yeah, that's what I was like. No, I'm like, because he's like you're doing real good, but he's like, everyone just we'll just keep going with that. Like I've been here. He's like, I've been here for like 30 years. It's
You know what else was sad in
nicest
this
guy.
episode? When that guy on the beach got stomped on by the dragon.
I knew
that's
that
right.
was coming.
That was
I knew that was
fantastic.
The opener, yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. Oh,
Save me, my prince.
that dude was not doing great, but like the fact that the foot came just right on top of him.
He was lucky. I thought he was going to get burned to death. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
was
like
saying.
No, that's what I thought.
it's also something of a metaphor, I think, for like, the way these people are all going to crush all of their supporters literally underneath them. And in this case, just a little more literally.
Yeah, it's very clear-eyed about Targaryens in that moment.
Yeah, Damon's a honey badger.
Can I just say something about Otto
Yeah.
for a second? Because I thought that was like a kind of background. I thought he and Alicent were interesting because, like, ironically, like they're at the height of their power, but they're also kind of on the back foot because they're like they've played all their cards in a way. Like I don't think that Otto imagined that Alicent would immediately pop out a boy. They would name him Aegon, and Viserys wouldn't go, this kid's my heir now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
Like
here
he's
hunting the
leaning
white stag,
so
and-
hard into it that it's very unsubtle for him.
Well, I think Viserys was wrong to get as pissed off as he was, though, because when he was talking to Lannister, the people are talking. Well, is someone talking about rebellion? Like, you haven't been out there saying I've had a son for 2 years, but the plan's the same. You haven't said shit. Like, your own daughter doesn't know that. So it's natural, given how he became king. that these people will go, well, the boy is going to be the new heir, and they're all kind of positioning for that. Now Otto kind of knows better, and immediately is like, how about we betroth them? And that was the moment in the episode. It's like, at least he was like, he's 2 years old.
Right.
They
Yeah.
they do that in the book though, right? And like,
Oh,
yeah.
It's a
Propose it
suggestion
at
that
one
is
point,
made, yeah.
It would have
Yeah,
been smart.
it's natural for a Targaryen, but I think the age difference maybe here is the issue.
Well, I think Rhaenyra would. I don't think you could do that to this. I don't think. I mean,
no,
she's enough of a firecracker as it is. I think if you told her she was going to marry Alicent's 2-year-old son,
but also didn't half the Targaryens that wed cousins and brothers just kind of like they found them, out in the barn sort of thing?
It was kind of like a natural thing for most of the brother-sister matches before this.
It wasn't taboo,
never-
so they were allowed to do it. And
no,
sort
I'm
of
not
like,
talking about the sibling thing. I'm talking about the 2-year-old thing.
Yeah, that
Oh,
too.
yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
part of it because they mostly matched, because they were close in age and they ended up liking each other, and that's how it served.
Yeah.
I mean, you get
Yeah.
that specific example of Balon, with Balon, with Jaehaerys's kid, where it's just like they were, once I think it was when Aemon died or something, whatever. Either way, it was just like Jaehaerys suggested moving like one sister down to a different brother, and Alicent was like, no, these two have already been matched up. We're not breaking that up.
Concern sorry, because she's so much older, it's like there's a narrow time frame to produce children. I think it's like
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because she's 15 years older, which means, I don't know, like he would have to be like 13, 14 to consummate.
Because you're a man, Adam.
She's probably more like 16 years old.
Well, because typically it's the other way around when you hear about these betrothals, and when there's when it's such a young either on either side, when it's such a young person being betrothed, regardless of the other person, it's usually like a very political thing. Like, well, we're about to go to war, or you need something big, and you're like, well, we're going to be betrothed, and like nothing's really going to come of it for a decade. So it's not, and it's usually a second son or daughter or something like that, right? And it's just like a placeholder thing. But if if she's the heir and she needs to be potentially having babies, although babies are risky, I don't know.
Well, she would be like
it's
late
weird.
20s, like early 30s, like it's more of a risk. I mean, she's not.
She can't wait that long.
Yeah, you're right. It's a problem.
that long without another heir, and I guess the realm is waiting that long though for him. If the people that want him to be king, they're waiting for him anyway, right? But it doesn't help her secure the claim.
I think maybe what Otto was doing was like trying, like if Viserys gazes the camera, like trying to at least pull Aegon into the frame with Rhaenyra, and then maybe have him be like, wait a second, boy there.
Right.
And,
he's testing the waters to say, hey, remember my grandkid?
Right, exactly. Because if you can marry Rhaenyra to Aegon, and then maybe you go like, oh, well, that's not going to work, so maybe we marry him to, I don't know, somebody else. Like, and I mean, I think this is, to go back to what I was saying, like Otto at his like least artful, which is, I found that really, like he's
a blunt instrument right here.
Yeah, the way he's talking to Alicent, like he's never said anything like explicit to her really. Like the first episode was like, you might visit the king, you might wear your mother's dress.
Yeah,
and now it's like, okay, how do we get your son to be king? Like
my grandson needs to be king.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that you kind of got his brother putting the pressure on him to figure it out, and this is what causes like kind of maybe the seeds of a rift between him and Viserys over this, because he pushed it at a really bad time.
Yeah. Well, the last time he pushed something at a really bad time, it worked out well. So
Yeah, but again, I think he shocked himself with his success there.
yeah,
I think
he
that's
is a
more
little
to
bit the
do
dog
with.
that caught the car because it's like, well, what do you
What's
do? You know,
next?
yeah.
I think it's fair to say that was more Daemon opening an opportunity for him than anything, honestly. Because without the opportunity that Daemon does pull out with the heir for the day thing, what is?
Well, if he did it,
Well, we know he said it. We don't know.
we don't know he said it.
He didn't deny it.
He didn't deny it, but that doesn't mean he said it.
Yeah,
I
It
actually
was
think he
heard,
said
Michal.
it.
It was heard.
I think he said it, but the way Otto says, like, we've had this corroborated by multiple sources, and like, I regret to tell you this, my king, and like, I think that we're meant to have some kind of confusion over whether or not, like, you know, like I agree he probably said it, but I don't think it's a sure thing, and I think most of that is Otto's machinations. And like, we don't know how he said it, you know, like he could have said it in a really sad
agree.
tone, and Otto is like conveniently not including that detail, you know.
Yeah, and well, that's a moment where I think we're supposed to side with Daemon as like Viserys kind of being a dick there.
The thing he says back to Viserys in that line, that we all grieve in our own ways, would be another way that he could have finished that line that they cut from it, rather than saying the heir for a day. Like the rhyming nature of it. It was a fun theory I saw on Twitter.
He's
Yeah,
not in a position in that scene to defend himself. Like, the king is furious.
Yeah.
Made
If
up
you
his
say-
mind. Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
say
so
no,
he just lets it go.
Fair, but again, Viserys has a point in that, like, he's there and not with his family. And yeah, we all grieve in our own ways, but Daemon could have put it off for a day to be with his
Thing
family.
about Viserys, you can never know exactly what he wants you to do. Like, he's extremely fickle, and like, I think you see it with Alicent. Like, you know, she's trying to get close to him, she's trying to comfort him, like he like pushes her away, like he has this like look in his eyes, it's almost like he's super happy of his like with his young wife and how pregnant she is and how many babies she's going to give him, and like, but at the same time it's kind of like, you're annoying me because you're talking about politics too, and like, you know, all he wants to do at the fireside when he's drunk is talk about all his failures and his dreams and stuff like that. And like, I don't know that, like, I hate that I'm defending Daemon, but like, I don't know that he could have been supportive in the right way for Viserys, especially since Viserys killed Emma himself.
Yeah, I was going to say is I think Viserys, especially in that moment, is more mad at himself than anyone.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know. He has no way of processing that.
Yeah,
He has
and
no
he
one he can
immediately
process
turns
that
around
with.
and makes the first worst decision he can, which is just what he does in every situation.
Not every situation, just the big ones.
Okay, sorry, just the catastrophic worst.
Yeah, just the ones that are going to fuck the realm later. You know, that's all.
And you know what? It's even like that conversation, which I thought was a fantastic scene with him and Rhaenyra in this episode, in the council chamber, when, like, you're right, Katie, they're trying to communicate and it is so not working because they are not talking about the actual thing that they're both upset about. And like, it was almost, I mean, I want Rhaenyra to be queen. Rhaenyra wants to be queen, but you almost get the sense that, like, she has no military support. Like, if he had changed his mind and told her that right there, what are the consequences? She fucks up to Dragonstone with one dragon? Like, there actually aren't that many consequences. And like, yeah, I don't know.
Did you think it was weird that he didn't tell her, like, suggest the marriage to Valerian?
I think he's probably still mad at Corlys. Probably is like, yeah.
Well, I think he agreed that was. I think he agreed, like, yeah, we should probably do that. But then it seems like they come to an understanding where he's like, you know what, you just need to choose. But he doesn't even kind of push her in that way. I thought maybe he would suggest it, and you know, but hey, it's your choice. And then like she would show up on Dragonback and kind of, you know, turn the tides or something. But she's not. I mean,
might have listened
not really
to Alicent for once in his life
battle.
and been like, if I say anything, it's immediately off the table.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Alicent is still not the worst. I'm trying to figure out how to put this.
You don't.
I mean,
see-
she's a child still, so
Well, she doesn't do much right now, directly. Right? She doesn't say that much. She doesn't actively show her hand. I think the only time we would sort of see her a little bit was when she was talking with Otto Hightower, where she showed a little bit of frustration. Otherwise, it's hard to read her right now.
yeah. I mean, I don't think they want to go too hard on her right now, right?
No, a lot of her lines have been given to Otto just because she is younger, but it kind of deprives her of anger and agency. So not that that's a bad thing. It's a different character, but it does make me wonder when the coin is going to fall. Like, is it going to be the moment like her son gets his eye gouged out and and like nobody sticks up for him, or like, I don't know, like what is going to be the tipping point that like makes her hate Rhaenyra? Because right now
I
she
am-
still seems she wants her affection.
I imagine Alicent's arc, and I could be totally wrong, but like for me, it's the arc of like, what does someone take when they've never been allowed to ask for anything in their entire life? You know, like Alicent has been like the pawn of her father for her whole life, and then she's gone and been Viserys' pawn, and at the same time is still having to deal with her father. So the way I see it, there's going to be something that happens that she's like, fuck this, I know what I want and I'm taking
Right.
it, and that's why that's going to be so catastrophic, because she's not going to have a lot of moderation when
Where she steps across that line instead of kind of circumstance or her father or somebody.
But I think, I mean, as for this episode, like I thought, I was kind of disappointed in her, like more disappointed than like when she didn't talk to, tell Rhaenyra about like her seeing Viserys, like, because she, and I can't blame her for this, but she's clearly chosen the side. She's like, I'm the queen now. I'm not the princess's friend. I'm the queen. And that like has been part of the presumably, the wall of ice that's grown up between them.
Yeah, I'm waiting for kind of the full confrontation between those two before we get the time jumped. Obviously, we've seen that knife scene in the trailers when they're older, but yeah, I do want something dramatic and like that, to the bone in this pre time jump time. Otherwise, I will deduct
Yeah, I
points.
feel like by the time we get to the shift and the older cast, like they have to be, gone. I don't know, because they're not going to have many scenes together after this season, right?
No?
You mean the kid act? Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess you mean
No. Even the adult actors. I mean, I assume after the time skip, we will still get some stuff around the court and probably a pregnant Rhaenyra maybe before she goes back to Dragonstone. But like once the coup happens, they don't see each other again. So
Rhaenyra takes King's Landing.
well, I know, but that's what I mean. Like it's for
sorry.
a long time. So, I mean, that's like a year and a half into it, right? So you're not going to get a chance to kind of have that animosity or anything built between them during the war, other than through letters and through proxies. Obviously the death of is it Lucerys that dies at Storm's End?
Yeah, it's the kid. It's the young one.
Yeah, I know it starts with an L. Yeah. So, and so far we've only gotten 3 dragons. So it's like they're kind of holding back.
Okay,
on us.
I'm crazy. For some reason, I thought there was a 4th dragon, and I thought there was a purple one, like the one that went in on the archers. But I guess that was still sea smoke, and I was just seeing things.
Yeah, it was still sea smoke.
Yeah. Okay.
And Caraxie's kind of like, I don't know, looks different sometimes from different angles too. So that could be part of it.
Yeah, true.
I do feel like he's gotten longer each episode.
Such a long boy.
Yeah, he literally
Like-
that neck just keeps growing, and it's not.
Opening
Every
scene, I
time.
was like, that tail's
To
at
the
least an
meme.
extra 10 feet.
It was actually really funny looking at him because I was like, how did they decide that the saddle was going to go on his like body? Because you could just put it anywhere on that neck too. Like,
Well, whiplash for the rider. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, you gotta be able to hold on. I mean, but
It's-
they like harness themselves in at least. Unlike Dany,
Yeah.
she just like digs into the spikes and hopes for the best.
Did anyone think that was Mushroom singing at the beginning?
Yes.
Yes. I
Oh.
thought it was.
Oh, they teased us.
How old is Mushroom in this timeline? In the boat timeline? When does he actually show up in person?
Hmm.
I don't know. I think he's first listed as Rhaenyra's favorite fool, and then like he's still alive at the end of the dance.
Right.
Like he leaves during Aegon's the third. His minority. So, I
he
don't know.
should exist around this time.
Let's just say it was Mushroom.
Well, no, they said a name, right?
Samwell.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah, whatever. That's why I was like, okay, like this could just be Mushroom. It's like it's a hint, you know. And then they gave it. I was like, oh, not Mushroom, and I didn't pay attention to the name. So I was like, oh, well, fuck.
womp womp.
That could be his name.
Oh, you know what? You're right. You're right. Because Mushroom's not necessarily the proper name, is it?
Not his Christian name.
That's right. The Smith. I was named after the Smith. Mushroom.
Someone on Twitter said that scene is like Rhaenyra hitting repeat on her CD player.
Yes.
Yes.
She's in her room with, instead of posters, she's in the Godswood writing.
Back in my day, we had to make them sing over and over again for us.
I'm just saying, it's the reverse. It's the reverse of Edmure and Thomas Evans. For instance.
There was also
So-
this really funny tiny detail where like when the bard, whoever he is trying to get her to like get to hear a different song,
Yeah.
and she's like, no, play it again. He like flexes his hand like he's been playing this song for like hours and just the same chords over and over again. I was like, this poor bastard. Like, oh man,
As
these
the
people are really
princess,
not
that's all
nice to
she
anyone
gets.
around them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Like Sansa, like loved that. Like when the king came, they were able to have singers. Like even at Winterfell, it's like they didn't get that all that often. And like Rhaenyra's just like, I'm gonna have this guy follow me around singing my favorite song, "Bear the Maiden Fair" again, please. Like,
Yeah, I think Sansa was at least listening to the song.
yeah.
We got more about that the dream again at the fire pit. I guess I don't remember what I was gonna say. I lost it.
I
That
mean,
actually though segues to what I was going to say, because now that we've gotten the reconciliation, kind of like, wait, you're not going to just inherit me, and you don't hate me, and do you think he's going to start kind of forcing her to be more involved? Like, because he talked about the dreams of like, I had this dream that like she has to be, it has to be her.
I mean, maybe given the preview.
Yeah. Because I thought it was weird right away when he was like, okay, he named her, and then in the second episode, she's pouring wine and shit. Which I know like fits for like the world or whatever, but I just sort of thought we'd see more of him being like, no, I'm gonna make sure that she understands affairs of state, and because he's so insistent even unto his death that like she is still the heir. She's ready, all that, and she's the realm's delight. She's like a lot of people are ready for her to be queen, and then a lot of key people aren't. But right now, it seems like if he died in the next episode, and they're like, she's queen, like no one would be down.
I just don't see him as like a hands-on work guy. And like again, when he makes decisions, he tends to enforce them in like very extreme and negative ways. And I think part of this, I mean, like I keep remembering, I haven't read it in years, but like, doesn't he like rip an entire family's tongues out because they called her sons the strong boys because one person in the family, like he will do nothing until he does the most extreme thing. And like I think in this case, the only way he can think to prepare to make Rhaenyra queen is to have her produce heirs, which is not a dumb thing. Like, this is what I was thinking all of last week. Like, you shouldn't be getting married. Rhaenyra should be getting married. But like, it's become such a point of pain between them and tension that it's like a little, I mean, not a little, it's like a lot counterproductive because it's not going along. Like, it really isn't him being like, Rhaenyra, you sit with me in council. Here's how you do this. This is how I make these decisions. Because he doesn't make those decisions. He's not a good ruler, so he can't teach anyone how to be a good ruler.
But in the last episode, she was at least like at the small council. She was, she picked someone for the king's. And even Kristen Cole says, "Hey, at one point you were the one that had the power to like assign me," and which makes it sound like that's all kind of pulled back.
Yeah, whose idea was it for her to pick the Kingsguard?
Well, Otto was just trying to get rid of her, right?
Yeah,
but
and Viserys agreed.
I don't think. No, I get what you're saying. I just would that tell you that her lack of involvement is more just because she's checked out?
No, I think she in episode. I think we see a really interesting, like a self-fulfilling prophecy here. In episode 2, she like clearly wants to be involved, and like it's interesting the way things shift because if you like in episode 1, I was like, oh, this is great that she's the cupbearer. She gets to listen and she gets to hear all the things. Like this is like being a squire.
Right.
And then when her position radically changes, her duties do not. And like so she's not allowed to say anything.
Right.
So it's literally like you literally are just there to pour the wine. And then, that's degraded even further. So I think she's probably stopped stepping up because she's been, burned every time she has. And
then her best friend is marrying her dad. And
exactly. And Viserys doesn't want to deal with it for multiple reasons. And yeah, and I think the marriage thing is like, again, because she's not a princess. She's a princess, but she's not just a princess. Like you can marry off another any old princess to anyone you want, but your heir, it's he is treating her like a broodmare, and she's like, I thought I was supposed to be more than that. I love this relationship. It's so they've done such a good job with it in just like relatively short time. I don't know, like you said, I don't know if people find this boring. This is fascinating.
Well, because the two of them feel like their own separate, like, I don't know, it's like a little microcosm they got going on, right?
Yeah.
Like no one gets what's going on in their life like each other, but then they're not talking to each other.
Yeah, the way that he's suggesting the Lannister arrangement, it's 100% like he's trying to marry her off like he would a younger daughter. It's not like this is someone who is going to be your consort, like who's going to be there to support your claim. Like it's not being framed in the proper way. He's still treating her like a child. I mean, she is a child, but you don't have the luxury of treating like the future queen as a little girl.
Yeah, but she, she clearly sees that. Everyone else clearly sees that. But then when they finally have that conversation, he's like, well, what do you mean? I was, it's your duty to marry. You know that. But she's like, you haven't involved me. Like, everyone thinks this is how you're getting rid of me for my brother. He's like, what? Why would they think that? It's just very tone deaf.
And again, it's like, if that's your decision, then stick to it and make it. Like, he's just, like, part of the reason he has such a hard time is because he's so easy to bully. You know, like he's complaining in the episode, like, "Oh, I can't make one good decision without pissing off someone else." It's like, well, that's your job, and like the reward for making good decisions is that they were the right decision, no matter who they make upset.
He just wants to be liked, and
Yeah.
it's very tragic.
No one else likes his
I said it.
mindset.
I said it in the other show for the last episode. I think Viserys, probably the character was most empathetic out of all the kings that we've seen in Game of Thrones / House of the Dragon. He's just a person who should not be a king. He could be a very, very good person in any other job. Like in modern day, if he's an accountant and goes home and checks out of work, goes home, play with his video games, he would be great. He's a decent person who seems to have a nice moral compass. It's just everything about being a king twists him into something that he doesn't want to be, and leads him to making all these bad decisions.
Yeah, and a lot of that is obscured by the fact that Jaehaerys left the realm in such good shape. So, like, imagine if he'd inherited a worse situation.
I think it just would have been a much shorter reign. I don't think it would have lasted. But I almost wonder, like, you know, you have that idiot maester or grand maester who's like, yeah, kill your wife. Yeah, let's have maggots eat your hands. Like, I don't know what's wrong with your back.
Hey,
Like,
maggots were the top, like, medical science.
I know they're a legitimate medical treatment, but the imagery is just overwhelming. But like, and apparently he's lost 2 fingers now, which is not a great sign. King is literally falling apart, people. But I almost wonder if, I mean, that's like if they're I'm not saying Maester Malus would have been a great king, but like maybe part of the point is Viserys might have been a really good maester, and like he, you know, obviously never had that opportunity, you know.
Or maybe he'll be fine in a role like, I don't know, like the, I don't know who's the master of coins guy, Beesbury, I don't know what his name is. Beesbury. Yeah, maybe he'll be fine in that role.
Beesbury.
Right? He goes to work, he handles the coins and goes home and plays with his toy castle.
Well, you don't have the resources for the toy castle if you're not king, obviously.
He gave Aegon a little black dragon toy in this episode.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, that was probably like a Balerion action figure.
That was so bittersweet. But there was something about, like, because the whole situation is gross, right? With Alicent being so young and like him being so old and the whole relationships being all messed up. But like there was something so like sad about how genuinely delighted he was in that kid. Like when they're like, oh, he has your eyes, your grace, like he's just like drinking it all in. He's holding the kid. Like it is clearly part of the fulfillment of his, like, you know, good dreams, not the bad dreams, not the scary dragon dreams, you know. And like there's something so gross but also sad and relatable about that.
Yeah, I mean that is the saddest part of his story is that he has 2 halves of his family that he loves everyone. Like he loves his wife and all their kids, and he loves his daughter and all of her children and relatives and his brother. And like, what can you do? Like a stronger person would be able to.
They would all just be nice to each other.
Yeah, he just wants his family to be happy, and unfortunately,
it's not great for a king.
Yeah, you're royalty.
Yeah.
Had that second family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess so. We know, we are obviously burdened with glorious book knowledge. So, like, how do you think that kind of shapes it? Because, like, we know, like, where this is heading. We know this doesn't work out for him or his family, to a certain extent. I mean, I guess if you fast forward 100 years, but yeah, I don't know. If you had no knowledge of that, like, would you be hopeful for him? Would you be rooting for him, you think? Yeah. Well, like, what do you think, like, if we get in the mind of an Unsullied, which obviously we can't, but I mean, he's not very sympathetic, and then sometimes he is.
I just keep coming back to the fact that he needed a stool or like fancy steps to like get off his horse.
Yeah.
And like I could totally be projecting, but like I felt like Otto Hightower and some of the men in the background were like eyeing each other like the king is failing. Like there's a clock ticking here. And it's like the very first stages of beginning to know it. And like it's starting to, I mean, I don't think he's gonna die till episode 9 personally. So we have a ways to go. But like they're just, it's like it was very interesting to me how like he seemed notably reduced, and like I didn't have a especially high opinion of him before, but he like seemed much more physically challenged by a lot of things.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, in the scene where he's not, has to take multiple stabs at the stag. And what is it they say because they're like, oh, we've cornered the white stag, and then they present it to him, and are they like, there's kind of a hint of white to it? They said, they made some sort of comment I didn't catch, but like he seemed to be kind of like, oh, that's a brown stag, and there's all these people watching, and then they're like, yeah, you got to go a little to the left, buddy. I don't know.
They said it was like it may not be white, but it is a big fucker. Essentially, is what they
Yeah,
said.
it was though. I mean, if they'd let that thing loose, his life could have been in danger. So, all right. Anything else you want to cover in this episode?
I didn't think the actress playing Alicent played a convincing pregnant lady. Like she was holding her belly like it was gonna fall off. Like I don't know. I don't blame her. Again, the actress has like probably never done this before, but like it's yeah.
She hasn't even done the flower baby in home economics class, so definitely not. Yeah, I sort of, I mean, I partly wanted them to have like a interim age person at this point or something, because she just seems too young. So, yeah, that's the point, though. So let's see, what are we getting next week? I mean,
a
obviously,
nefarious rumor, apparently,
of some kind, and then the prince that was promised is referenced.
Yeah, they have that the fucking dagger. It's gonna like have some writing on it, like it's the fucking One Ring.
No, like it's the dagger from fucking the last Skywalker or whatever.
I just realized we're already at the point where Daemon is going to get sent away again because of his secret meetings with Rhaenyra. His supposed secret, like, fuck meetings with Rhaenyra.
Right, that's probably the rumor.
Yeah, and then he fucks off with Laena. So maybe we're going to get Vhagar next episode.
Because I'm really wondering, the next episode is called King of the Narrow Sea, so, but I'm wondering how they're going to handle that with, like, the rumors, because we have to get to the point where, for the last, several episodes of the season, whatever, they're together, right? So we have to set it up, but it's really uncomfortable setting it up. It's like the uncle and the actress is so young, and like, how do they play that? I don't know.
Does she end up getting with Christian Cole first, though?
It's a rumor. I don't know if that's like before their deal or after.
Yeah, there are a ton of rumors like flying around. The Kristen Cole one, I think, is the first rumor.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to do that with what they've been laying on the show, and because that'll obviously make what happens later at the small council meeting more shocking, right? To the viewer. But they have a lot of work to do in these realms of the show, like introducing characters and putting people and dragons and stuff on the screen. We got plenty of time to do that, but like moving relationships one way, then moving to another, and having people die. Like, there's just a lot to do this season to set up the dance. Like, once they get there, I feel like it's not as bad in that respect. But
Yeah,
we'll see if
characters
they
have
can
to
pull it
be.
off.
I mean, I said this last time, but like Lena and Lenor, like they get introduced and then they're gonna die pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm a little concerned, and this is like so premature, but I'm a little concerned about the upcoming seasons and like battle fatigue, because like I know I felt that way reading Fire and Blood. I was like, oh my god, just stop already. You know, like, and these dragons died, and these dragons tore each other apart, and this one ripped out its belly, and that one bit out its throat, and like whatever. And like, I, it could just be because I'm enjoying the intrigue so much, but like, I hope we don't lose that entirely as it goes forward.
They have to fill in the interim and make it interesting and have good dialogue and good scenes. And
Well, they have no choice but to do that, right? There's not that much. I think there's still a few more seasons. They have to fill it in with something. So it can't be nonstop battles. And I think going back, this is very different from adapting A Song of Ice and Fire. Fire and Blood is very, very bare bones. And frankly, not something you can just directly translate anyways. And they've already added in a bunch of stuff. So I fully expect they will fill it in with a lot of stuff. Which is not just going to be this dragon kills this dragon one-on-one.
I'm happy with that. I mean, and I think the fact that from Fire and Blood and the Princess and the Queen, we get, well, this happened, but rumors were this happened. And we get a lot of stuff left out. It gives them more freedom as long as they put a good product out there. Fine, but they just have a lot to do.
I'm fully on record in the other part in the Wolfcast that I think Fire and Blood sucks as a book. So go wild.
Yeah. I mean, and it's because it's not meant to be.
No. It's a different genre. It's not going to be very. It's if you try to directly translate it, it's not going to work.
Who rides Sea Smoke after Lenor dies?
Adam Valarian.
Oh, that's right.
Speaking of, the guy,
the best character in the whole book.
The messenger that they send is named Alan.
What?
Oh.
I'm like 99% sure that I was like, that Viserys was like, "Thank you, Sir Alan," and I was like, "Oh, they're naming someone, but that name belongs to somebody else." I'm pretty sure.
Alan Valarian could be cut, unless they've already cast him and I haven't been paying attention.
He's a later season character if they cast him.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't write it. I mean, he's important, like, as a naval person, and also he's the guy who goes and gets little Viserys. But other than that, like, he's not important during the dance as much as he is after the dance. Like, I could see that character going away as a simplification.
We'll see. I mean, I feel like they'll include both of them. I don't know.
I mean, they can definitely have more than one Alan, like that, but I just noted it, and I was like, wait, I hope they're not, I hope the existence of one Alan does not negate the existence of all other potential Alans.
Right. I mean, because we got multiple Johns and shit. Have they cast Adam Valarian yet?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, neither of them have been cast because they'll show up in later seasons. I
mean, you don't need them until season 2, really. But some of these people, I think we're going to see people at the end of the season kind of in passing, and then we'll get more of them as it goes forward. But I don't know. There's just too many people involved in this to kind of keep track of all that. So, at least for me. If we had a lot more time, maybe. But all right. Any final thoughts?
Rawr.
Rawr.
Yeah. Yeah, good episode. I just, wish there was more. Yeah, I think that if this they've already got 2 seasons, so I think hopefully season 1 keeps adding people. The second episode added viewers from the first episode, right? Not very many, but that's a strong sign. So hopefully by the time we get to season 2 and the storytelling can be a bit tighter.
Honestly, I'm just comparing this to Rings of Power. I'm not worried about House of the Dragon being a decent show.
Yeah, I'm not like. Yeah, I guess my concern is more of like, is it going to be engaging for viewership? Is it going to like go the distance and tell the whole story? And which it seems to be so far. But Rings of Power, didn't they had like 20-something million, right? Too, didn't they say? That watched like the first 2 episodes in the past.
Right, but that's
whatever.
some nonsense reporting number. I mean,
well, I don't know. That's probably just,
fudge.
that's Amazon telling us that, right? But
They
so
were
was the
claiming
Nielsen
50,
shit,
I think.
Were they?
Yeah.
Geez. But when like Nielsen says like, well, we talked to 10,000 houses, and that means 5 million people watch this show, and Tim, it's guesswork, a lot of it anyway. So
Right. It's all nonsense.
yeah, but the only thing that matters is that it matters to executives that are going to say, hey, a 3rd season and a 4th season, and allow you to kind of do what you want, right? Whereas Game of Thrones is so extremely successful that they would have given them the 10 seasons or whatever that George suggested, but David and Dan were just like, oh, let's wrap this up. So
Yeah, I don't think viewership is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about the issues going on at HBO, but I think this is the one thing that like they really need to keep going.
This stuff playing Prince money. They like money.
Yeah, because now you can sell a bunch more Targaryen merch. Now you got Valyrian merch. You got, you can have strong merch. There's all kinds of stuff that you didn't have before, and then you can still sell the old merch too. So
have your own personal clubfoot.
That's right, replica clubfoot, only $5.99. Yeah. So anyway, we will see you all next week, and maybe by then we'll have some hot Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole action going on. Who knows?
And 2 whole episodes with no sex. We need more.
Wait, there were look, guys.
Sure.
I love what you're doing here, but there were no boobies on screen. Okay, people are paying this. They're not going to pay $14.99 if they can't see the boobies.
Hey, I want more speeches while they're fucking on the stage thing.
Oh gosh.
I want to have like a really deep conversation, from Doggy Style or something.
Where's the painted table?
Oh man.
Wasn't it Viserys who like had sex with a woman in a bathtub while listing the dragons?
Yeah.
Yes.
We could have had that. We could have had.
We could still have that.
I don't want to see this Viserys have sex.
Yeah.
He's crying the whole time.
No, thank you.
I love Paddy Constantine. I don't want to see him naked. I'm sorry.
Oh man. All right. On that note, everybody, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Roar.
Rawr.
Don't love it, but
No, wait. I saw the preview for the next episode. What's wrong with it? What did you like?
the first line that they said,
What did they say?
they said the prince was promised.
Oh.
Oh yeah, she's reading the prophecy and shit. Like
They have it written down.
Ugh.
And his will be a song of ice and fire.
Now, but it's non-gendered, so if they have someone in the show saying that, I'll be like, oh gosh.
According to Septon Barth, the dragons are hermaphroditic.
Some scholars say. I'm gonna just type an order, and then we'll have you guys introduce yourselves, like on your own fancy style, and make it easier for me to edit later.
It'll be easy for you to edit. Don't lie to yourself.
So, I thought that if anyone was bored, it was Kristen Cole, right? All right.
People on Twitter keep saying this show is boring, and I want to destroy them. I don't understand. Are you not entertained?
This is like the least boring.
Did they see how good the costumes are?
There were
Sorry.
so many things that happened.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful gowns. And sorry, like, having come off, like, the Rings of Power where I don't know what the fuck those people are wearing. It's like Party City costume.
It's just
man.
ASMR.
So
We
now
get
that
the-
they've...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well,
I'm not being
thank you.
mean. I'm actually just teasing you. It's okay. Go ahead. I was just gonna say that we.
This never happened.
Sorry, I've been interrupting a lot this evening.
I just want all those the little figurines that they've been having. I know they had some in the last episode, and they have some with the battle planning. That's fun. I like those.
Yeah.
Where are they keeping all this shit? Like, somebody made a post that was like,
That's the most lucrative business.
think about how many houses are in Westeros. That means they have a figurine for each and every one of them.
All right, bring out the trunk. We gotta get this. We gotta get these all out here.
I gotta say,
where's the tea trunk? All the tea houses.
What do you call it? History of Westeros did a good interview with Ryan Condal this week, and one of the things they went into, they're talking about because I guess he's like a big prop guy, so he's like steals props and shit basically. Like they were sort of joking, but he's like, yeah, he's like, now I'm in charge and I can have it make shit and then I can just take it home. Like that's the way to do it.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, they're I would check out their interview with him. It was pretty insightful. They asked him some decent questions that made me feel a little bit more at ease because the other showrunner announced that he was leaving this week, right? I guess we
He's
can
the director, right?
mention that, yeah, which
Right.
Is maybe not that big of a deal. So
Yeah, he's tired. Like let him be.
yeah, I mean, well, how long have they been working on this? Like 2 years?
Well, wasn't he with the original show?
I mean, Miguel
Yes.
was, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the director of many episodes.
Yeah. So sometimes creatively you want to do something different. I don't think it's going to affect much to do with the show, but I don't know enough about what he was involved with, what he was doing, but it's kind of a weird thing, 2 weeks in to like have a showrunner be like, all right, I'm out right after they got picked up for another season.
Yeah.
There were some people that were like, oh no, and I'm like, well, I don't think that's showrunners do change all the time, but on big shows like this, and we're used to like we had David and Dan like halfway through Game of Thrones, they could have been changed. Like if they didn't want to do it, like they
Yeah.
could have handed it off to someone else, and the show probably would have been fine. But they didn't want to do that.
Could have
So-
been better.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it. I'm trying to keep the scabs. Maybe they'll heal eventually if I don't pick at them.
He's even
Yep.
got a crown.
Oh, does he have any kids at this point? I mean, or she was saying like that ain't gonna happen, right?
Lena is the first, or Lena is the first kids he gets.
You could
Yeah.
actually read a lot of this show
How old
as
is
just
Lena?
like Damon wants to be a daddy, and that's it.
Oh.
Do you think, because in the book it's ambiguous as to whether or not Rhaenyra, and I always assumed it was 100% true that they were having an affair, Rhaenyra and Daemon. Do you think, like, because of the actress's age, they're just going to, like, have it be rumor and hearsay, and
I think they're not going to show the actual thing, but I think they're going to show something.
Well, you think? I
don't
don't
know.
think they're gonna show them hot and heavy. I think they might, because like we had that scene with the necklace and stuff. I think they might show them, like connecting and kind of, oh, uncle, like,
Oh, uncle.
no, but just like I just mean like they're having a moment.
I love it
to
when you
them-
call me that.
God damn it. They're having a moment to them that seems like, I don't know, like family connecting or whatever, and Otto or somebody is like, they were alone together, scandal, and then years later they're like, fuck it, I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
the fucking it's the Borges thing. It's like we've already, they already think we've done the crime, so might as well.
That's right. If we're serving the time, we best get to doing it. Yeah. But I mean, like their relationship, or at least their marriage and stuff, is going to happen off screen, right?
why
Like
would
by the
it?
time, by the time we get to the time jump and stuff, right?
I don't think so.
You think they're going to show all that?
Well, no, Adam
Yeah,
has
I
a
mean,
point,
keep it
because
strong first.
if Viserys dies, though, at the end, then they already have 2 children. Like, by the time of his death.
Right,
Yeah,
but
I mean, you have to have a bunch of like fairly old kids by the time we get to the end of the season, right? Dragon Rider kids, and
like
there's not a lot of time to do that.
So I know that like the Strongs and then the twins like will be there, but I don't know if they'll do Rhaenyra and Daemon yet.
I guess it's hard because once they time jump, I don't know. Because once they time jump, we have to have the kids, but also once it's hard to have the younger Rhaenyra getting up to all this.
I guess What's the difference between Aegon III and the rest of them?
Aegon, I don't know. I don't remember all their ages specifically, but
I think
Joffrey's like 7, right?
No,
but
Joffrey's like 13, like, or 12-ish. Like, he's old enough where he's like sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I will say I do think they're cutting Joffrey. I think we're only getting Jason Luke.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Oh, Jaehaerys is the one who. Yeah.
I mean, we also need
Or
Alicent's
Jaehaerys.
children to have children.
That's right, yeah.
So,
Otherwise,
Right,
blood and cheese doesn't
yeah.
happen.
That's right. We have
unless
to
they
have,
change it, like they could change it.
Aegon,
Blood and
Helena,
cheese could happen to Alicent's kids.
Well, look,
like
you have to have an Aegon, Alicent's Aegon that is like Ron or Rob and John age, right? From like season 1 at least, and that's old enough to have a kid and be married, and then we can fast forward. We can have season 2 somewhere where got a couple of young kids. I think.
I
don't know.
Been cast. Actually, 1 second.
I don't know.
Let's see.
I mean, I'll double
Joffrey's
check.
dies the night of the dragon pit, right?
we're barely gonna see, and then he's
Yeah.
gonna die. So Viserys, and Viserys is 14 when he dies, and Jaehaerys.
They haven't cast Joffrey. They've cast both young and old Jaehaerys and Viserys.
I see.
Yeah, because we have.
Did they want to not confuse people? I guess.
Well, I just don't think they need 3. I think they're doing 2, like,
16.
because.
Let's see. How would you do that?
So they're doing Aegon and Aemon, and obviously Helena. Does Alicent have a 3rd boy?
Daeron.
Okay, because I don't think they're doing him either.
Yeah,
I think
Alicent has 4, right?
Yeah, I think they're just cutting one boy from each side.
That would make sense, at least for Allison, for sure. But you have to have, let's see, you have to have Aegon and his sister, and they get married. And you
Yeah,
have to have
Helena-
Aemon. You for sure have to have
Helena is-
Aemon.
Helena is cast.
Is she okay? Is there somewhere that has like all the like confirmed
Just-
casting listing?
I mean, just Wikipedia has the
Really, I'm
list.
just looking at Wiki of
some of it's on there, but like I don't know.
It's pretty thorough at this point. I would mostly trust it.
Let me see. Well, I'm wondering if there's just stuff like they've cast people and we don't know.
Maybe,
I mean, it's
maybe.
totally possible, but
Yeah.
I think it might
I just-
be a good decision to get rid of one of like a couple of kids. Like Joffrey, like the only significant thing he does is die. So that could be. I could see that being a very quick cut.
There's
Can
that
do that.
young commoner
Well-
girl who holds him as he dies, and
Yes, it's a great scene. It's very sad, but it's a lot of kids to keep up with.
Yeah.
well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Are we gonna hit like critical mass of like dead kid exhaustion?
There's well, they're gonna age. That's why I think like they might age up the teenagers to even being a little older, and then like Lucerys, you have to have him because he's gonna die. And yeah, Aegon the Third and Joffrey, you could just combine them, and you could maybe get rid of
Little Viserys.
Visenya or Viserys. You could probably get rid of both of them, really.
Well, Visenya is important because Rhaenyra has to be giving birth to someone.
She has to be given birth. That's right.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
She could be having Daemon's kid.
But
Like
what-
that could be their first kid. Like
Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah, there
Well,
you
she
go.
could be giving birth to someone and it could not survive. I mean, that's another option. If they
Isn't
don't
that
wanna
what
deal with
happens?
Yeah,
I
that's
thought-
what happened. That's right.
that. Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
I
has
don't
the
even
girl
remember.
she names Visenya and on Dragonstone.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
that's
Visenya,
when
yeah, Visenya died
Lars
shortly
was like,
afterwards.
I'll take this crown and put it on my son's head.
Yeah,
Just,
that's right.
Darren could be a cut. I mean that. Now that you're listing like the characters that could cut, like Darren, he's important like in the Southern Host, but like they could finagle the war enough that he's not necessary.
He's the one who dies in his tent, right?
Yeah, he's the
How
one
do
who's
I
in.
remember? Yeah, Darren. Oh yeah, I love this picture of Viserys the First. He's a lot chubbier, man. They're gonna have to put some. They're gonna have to put some pounds on him before the end.
both Bela and Rhaena have also been cast already.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Balon, Targaryen,
Bela.
Bela.
I can't believe they're
Rhaenys.
keeping the name Rhaena. Like I thought that they could get away with a Rhaenyra and a Rhaenys. I didn't think they could get away with a Rhaenyra, a Rhaenys, and a Rhaena. But I guess they are.
I get confused when I have to type them. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
The,
I will
like,
never
AE
spell.
thing fucks me up.
Yeah.
120.
I will
Okay.
never spell Rhaenyra with confidence.
Yeah,
Never.
right.
Yes. How many times I've been for the show? I've had to type it how many times now in the chat or something. And like earlier tonight, I was like, wait, hold on. I had to go like, let me look real quick. I don't look like an idiot, any more than I already do. Oh, let's see.
Show is
Yeah.
going to have a plethora of young
Get rid of the
actors
kids.
very soon.
Rhaena will be. I mean, she'll be mixed. So visually, at least, she'll be different than like older
Look.
Rhaenys and.
Is she though? Did they cast her?
Yeah, they cast.
Yeah,
they cast
Because that's what I
Twins are
was.
both black.
over. Yeah,
Well, that's what I was wondering is if they were going to do that or if they were going to play into the rumors and not have them mixed.
Wait, Rhaena and Rhaena and Bela?
Yeah, they're both. They're both
We know.
cast.
We know. There was no like question
There's no
about who
rumors,
their
yeah.
parents were.
There wasn't.
No,
No,
the
no.
rumors
It's
are all
Rhaenyra's
Rhaenyra.
kids.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see. I'm getting confused with who's fucking who.
There's too many kids.
The strong boys.
Yeah, those are strong words. That's why I'm like. That's why I was wondering like what they're gonna. Are they gonna come out mixed or are they gonna just like come out looking super targ? And you're like, wait a second.
They're all white. The actors for both Jaehaerys and Jaehaerys and Lucerys.
Right, no,
Yeah,
those
that's
look like strong boys. Like they clear.
that is one thing that's like really great about the casting is that it's going to be super obvious, like
Yeah.
even more so than it was in the books that these are not Laenor's children.
I do like that
Right.
though. Like that actually makes the Valerian casting even better.
Yeah,
Guess who was
yeah.
mad about that?
Internet.
racists online.
Yeah, Linda.
Yeah.
No.
I said I said internet racist.
Right, so I'm just being more specific about which particular racist.
Oh. Let's see.
I thought the actor for Laenor this episode was great.
Cargill's.
I admit I was a little distracted by his wig. That was the Velaryon wig that got to me for some reason.
That's part of it. Like so, like who the crab feeder is? Craggus the crab. Daniel Scott Smith. And like there's no link, so it's like I have to Google these people and try to see how old they are. Oh wow, look at that. He's just bald and has no eyebrows. That's like his headshot. Interesting.
He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. He didn't even speak.
He stared in one direction or another, and then went into a cave 2 times.
Yeah,
He also
I
grabbed some people, I guess.
wanted something.
Yeah.
The man just got VD and he was upset and just wanted to spread it.
Yeah, it's very questionable as to why anyone is following this man. Other than, like, what I guess the wealth of stealing shit from ships, maybe.
Well, I mean, isn't the underlying issue here that like they're being funded, by higher powers, and like they're
Sure.
probably sending people, but turns to nothing.
Well, he
Just
turned
3 years and a couple dragons take care of it real quick.
He turned into half of himself.
Yeah, and I never got to see him take off that mask to see if it was like a mask or if it was just like kind of burned to his body. So it looked like maybe he maybe had some dragon fire incident or something. Heavy
Well, I mean,
burns.
you could see it underneath where it's either like burns or grayscale or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this is 100% going to be what either Katie or Michal said, where we're just going to be like at the end of the season, like, oh yeah, that happened. It's going to be like just a memory and all of this, just a little thing.
It's gonna be Casterly Rock, like. That guy, that YouTuber that was mentioned earlier, he had a video where he like ranked all the Game of Thrones episodes, and going through that, I was like, "Holy shit! I have forgotten so much of this show that ever happened." I was like, "Oh yeah, Craster's Keep, that guy that was drinking out of a skull."
Oh yeah, the dude, the flea bottom dude.
That guy's iconic.
Pete from
Fucking
Flea
It's
Bottom.
legendary.
Or
It's
John.
legendary.
What
He's a
was his
legend.
name? I
Carl
just remember I'm like,
Tanner.
that's the guy from Doctor Who. Yeah, Tanner. Yeah.
Carl Tanner from Flea Bottom. From where was it?
I think he was from Flea Bottom. That's all I remember. And then he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna like go here and rape some people, and it's a great plan." And then what? I don't know. Question mark. And then profit. You're like, okay. So let's see. Here's Damon's daughter. Like I'm trying to look up these people just to see like how old they are. Like Phoebe Campbell, and it looks like she's probably like a teenager. She's kind of like mixed, light
like
skin. But then like the entry says she was born in 1847 and died in 1872. So it's like mixed in. Like something's not right here. It's like listing movies she's in, but she died before movies were ever made.
There's like this one. So I left my World of Ice and Fire book at it's in my parents' basement right now. So I don't have that with me, but
the book owner does not have a copy.
He probably does, but every time I think of it, he's not here, so I don't remember to ask him. But anyways, so I just look online for like the family tree of Targaryens that they have on like the cover of the first page, and
Oh, right.
what you get when you Google is a Vox Media article of some guy who made a Targaryen
I've seen that.
like thing, and like, you know, you think you're looking at like the right thing, but then you see that Duncan the Tall is in the thing. So like
Yeah,
you're like, this
yeah.
is, you know, like this is definitely like a fan theory one, not necessarily the book one. So I'm just annoyed that that's like the thing that only pops up when you
Yeah, so
Google.
Prince Jacaerys is 18, the actor. Rhaena's firstborn son. I'm trying to see how old the guy is playing Aegon. He's 27. How far forward are we going?
I mean, the guy that played
They're gonna age these people up.
Jojen was like
All
31,
playing
so like,
younger.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bill-
Yeah,
Billy,
some of them.
Billy
some of them
Alcock
are
is
younger,
22.
sure.
Billy Alcock's 22 right now. She's playing a teenager.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought because the actress that's playing Allison, I think, is a teenager actually.
Wow.
Or seems it anyway.
all the actors on Euphoria are like in their mid to late 20s, and they're all playing 16 to 17-year-olds. So I think that's a very normal TV thing.
It depends. Like I remember there was that one girl in the 90s that was like in every high school drama, and then I was like, wait, she's been in every high school drama for like 12 years. But like, you know, sometimes back then it was like, you know, 90210 where you're like, oh, that hairline's been receding for like 5 years, man. There's no way this kid's 16.
It's like that ethical conundrum of if you're going to do like these kind of like daring scenes with people who are supposed to be minors in the show, but you want to make sure that their actors are not minors, but then on TV it might come off a little bit weird.
It's well, like, but look, finding capable young actors is hard, but also the labor laws, like if you're under 18, like how much you can work, and you know, I mean, they ran into it on Game of Thrones, obviously. So, you know, as the actors got older, it was easier, but let's see. Oh, the guy, okay.
So
the guy playing Aemon One Eye was I can't figure out how old he is, but he was in The Last Kingdom. That's where I've seen him, and he's got to be like mid-20s or so. And Helena,
They even have a picture of him with an eye patch.
yeah,
That's probably easier than a sapphire.
Helena's gonna be 20. She's 23. The actress playing her.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, no. So this makes sense. Like everyone's gonna be a bit older. So maybe like when they do but what's his name? Matt Smith has got a lot of work to do because like they're gonna age we're gonna do a time jump, and then we have to have like Olivia Cook and
Matt Smith's just gonna look exactly the same.
What?
She's just gonna look exactly the same.
That's right. He's gonna look exactly the same, and then eventually he has to be. They have to have that line where it's like, "You've lived too long, Uncle," and he's like, "Yeah, fuck that shit," and like he dies, and he's like 45. And he's like, "Oh, I'm the old man. I can't do it anymore." I'm like, "Dude, you are not that old."
There's a character. There's a character listed on here that says Brett Lannister.
Brett Lannister. Is he White Raven?
Yeah.
In disguise, Brett Lannister. We always knew a little something about Brett. Let's see. Yeah, Emma Darcy is 30. So that's the thing. Is like she's going to be 30 with a son that's 22. So they're going to have to like it's all fine, but like they're gonna probably age them up or whatever. So we're probably going to get like what they've done now is we get the time skip, and they're probably gonna have to rework some of the details around that, and then we'll get like little time skips maybe. What do you think? Like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they might stretch it out over longer than like just 2 years.
Yeah, I think every episode up until the coup is going to be like, well, it's been 2 years since that last thing. oh, well, it has been 9 months since event in last episode. Like,
That was kind of awkward.
They're already doing that.
It's awkward. It's what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. I think that I just have a hard time figuring out. So they're gonna have to age up Rhaenyra and Alicent, but then like still pretend they're really young. Like make them look like they like. Oh no, this is actually just a year or two later, and then age them up a bunch and be like, now they have adult kids.
So you worry too much about this man. Like
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm just trying to, I'm just
like. You're
I'm
really
just trying to figure out what their plan
I
is.
said earlier, like the timeline doesn't matter. Just it'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Time, geography, it's all. None of it matters on this show. No, but I was just like I said, I was watching a video and I was reminded that when Jon and them were stuck beyond the wall kidnapping a zombie, they had to send Gendry running 1,000 miles south to get to their.
Usain Bolt.
I think it's 7. They're all time travelers. And now they have an actual doctor on the show. It doesn't really matter. None of it anymore.
Brandon Stark leaping from Targaryen to Targaryen, hoping to make the final leap home.
That's the biggest bummer. Is we all know that Bran ends up as king at like the long end game of all of this.
Womp womp.
Right, but he's a cripple, so for how long? Oh shit. Anyway,
he's got great stories.
Isn't he gonna live forever? Because he he's like the thing now, like the
he's the three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
transfer his conscience to new bodies.
That's what I'm saying. So that was the quantum leap joke I made.
Right. Yeah.
No one knows quantum leap. I think they were trying to reboot that. But.
They are
just an evil parasite.
I mean,
controlling
they did it
the realm.
That's right. Do you know what I would give if during one episode someone suddenly starts acting not like themselves, and then like someone and like, oh, I'm Bran or something comes out, and then like they like shake it off, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And it's just like they looks at the camera and just winks.
I would shoot my television if that happened.
I wanted to see the Dance of the Dragons. What's the Dance of the Dragons? You're in it.
No.
Well, they look. I'm not saying they have a Kingswood. They have a Godswood. I mean,
I'm just thinking about how Bran is like totally just watching Rhaenyra like do all this stuff in the past and has to listen to Mushroom sing that song for an hour over and over again.
This is boring. Oh my gosh.
All right, I need to go to bed.
Good night.
All right, guys, this is fun. Same time next week, or what do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'll try to make it.
All right, see you then.